Howdy all, welcome to Lex Lives. I think it's time we play a little 7 Days to Die. Alright. Oh man, I am smelly. Forgot I killed those chickens. I'm running around with meat on me. No, let's grill it. Grill it. So I thought maybe today I would work a little bit on the old garden here, which is still in the process of being done. But let's see, food supplies. Oh, you know what? I already did have a potato. There's a lot of stuff I do not have yet, that's for sure. Oh, hey, look at my, whoops, my nice new pick. Let's get rid of that crappy one there. I also don't need that crappy thing. And I don't want to just drop it here. I don't need this crappy thing anymore. Bloop. Just gonna hang around in that corner for a little bit anyways. But yeah, so I need to make a hoe. I guess I need to know how much metal I need to make a hoe. Hoe. 16. Alright. So I need some more forged iron. 2, 3, 4. Oh yeah, look at that fancy new axe I made. What do I need to make the, stop complaining, dude. What do I do to make that, spiked axe? It's not an axe, it's a club. I need the recipe for it. That's what I need. Spiked club, right. Never mind. What about a oh, it was right there. I'm gonna go ahead and make a new iron reinforced club because mine is close to being done in here. Okay, I'll grab those. Now I'd like to make iron. Nope, not a shovel. Gardening hoe, because I haven't really found one. Okay. Done pretty good at searching the town. I still need to hit a bunch of the safes. But I would definitely like to wait until I get my garden started here so it can start growing. So let's grab what I've got here. I've got potato seeds, coffee beans, goldenrod, which needs to be turned into seeds. I've got corn, also need to be turned into corn seeds. And I've got a yucca seed. I also have pine seeds, but I don't have a spot for trees yet. I also don't have any chrysanthemum. So maybe we can take a look around real quick and see if I can find some chrysanthemum. That grows in foresty areas, right? I see a zombie. You're not what I'm looking for, dude. Let's get up higher. Maybe I can see some from up high. If I can climb up this hill. So we had my Tuesday night D&D stuff. I don't really have anything to talk about that I watched today because someone was talking about Glee, and I used to watch Glee when it first started. Because it's a good, I mean, it's not good, but I enjoy music sometimes, and they sing a lot of songs that I enjoy, and it's something you don't really have to pay attention to, which works excellent for me. And, oh man, my guy's getting hungry. These aren't chrysanthemums, dude, but you know what? I do. Am I wrong? Do chrysanthemums not grow in the woodsy areas? I don't see any. I see lots and lots of. Oh, yeah, I need to get cotton, too. Thanks for reminding me, cotton. I see no specks of red anywhere. But somewhere along this week, it got brought up about how Glee had ended. And I was like, oh man, you know what? I kind of stopped watching it before it ended. And now that it's over, I should go back and see how it ended. So that's what I've been doing this week, is watching episodes of. Well, I mean, because of the work I do, I use things I don't have to watch as background noise most of the time. Not all the time. Sometimes I have to really listen to what's going on, but a lot of paperwork to be filled out. When I'm filling out paperwork, I can listen to things, while I'm filling out the paperwork. So the gift of multitasking. And so I've just been listening to Glee, but I really haven't had a lot of time to watch anything. I think it'd been Thursday probably. No, it'd been Monday. So Monday night I would have worked on this. Tuesday night is D&D. Wednesday night is comic book night. So yeah, Tuesdays and Wednesdays, which have been the only 2 days I could have watched something since the last episode, are days where I pretty much don't get any time. Friday night is usually my one time to actually. Friday, Saturday, I guess, are my two big days to watch things. And I'll probably be busy this Friday, so maybe Saturday too. I don't know. We'll have to see. I'm finally going to get around to working on that stupid kitchen. Finish the floor. Oh man, let me tell you about that conversation I had this week. So they're talking about the floor, and I'm like, yeah, well, we haven't hit a spot in here where we either didn't have I didn't have something going on, or you guys were doing something like painting, or we didn't have company. And they're like, why didn't you just do it on the weekends when we had company? I'm like, because you told me not to do it when you were having company because you didn't want the floor tore up worse than it already is. Well, just ignore that. You should have just done it. Okay, I'm sorry I did what you told me to do. Seriously. And someone did finally clean up the mess they made out of the stuff that I already had put away. Except now, of course, it's a mess in and of itself, even though it looks put away. It's just all jammed together now in ways that I didn't intend it to be, which will make my job harder, but who cares if my job's harder? The job I didn't want to do. Anyways, let's not talk about that. Although I am very curious, and I'm very curious to see once we get to that point. I didn't see any chrysanthemums anywhere. It's crazy. I'm gonna be very curious to see whether or not, um, the stuff they've got to go up on the wall is gonna be tall enough to cover the giant hole they knocked in the wall with the door handle because they can't open a door like a person. Twist the handle and slam the door open as hard as possible. That's how they open the door. And so most of the doors have door stops to stop people from slamming the door open. You know, until we moved here, I never lived in a place that had door stops. You just didn't open the door that hard. And you don't just walk up to a door, twist the handle, and basically slam it open every chance you get. So it's kind of weird to me that that they smashed giant hole in the wall because they couldn't be bothered to open the door like a person. And there's like a perfectly circular hole through the drywall, because of what they've done. And below it, because of how because of our deadbolt is below the. Does deadbolt below the door handle? No, I think the deadbolt's above the door handle, and they patched that, but there is a hole patched just above that, where because they smashed a hole in the wall with the door handle, they also did a, I don't know, like 1/4-inch thick by 3-inch rectangle okay, I am going to skip this one for chrysanthemum, and then this one, I think if I do this, it's going to grow up in weeds. This one can be for my yucca. Okay. I think, right, because you make yucca juice out of it. And then we'll do... Man, there's not going to be one for my cotton. I'm going to have to... I'm going to have to build onto my base here. Alright. So we'll do one for corn. And we'll do one for... Oh, and blueberries. I don't have one for blueberries yet either. So yeah, I need a blueberries... And I need a... Whoa. I actually have a quest going right now to hunt these. Get off me. Dang it. Out of ammo. Get off me. Oh, she's dead. Did I just hear a scream? I did. Oh man. I know I'm hungry, alright? I said I was hungry. Dang it. Dun. Good thing I made that new club, huh? Probably better if I made some New arrows, though. I think I can't wait to get a spike club. And for my clubbing skills to go up. My clubbing skills. Those are skills I don't have. Ugh. I don't like loud music. Or people. Which I feel like completely defeats the purpose of going clubbing. Oh, this makes me think of a story. So, uh, oh man, I must have been in high school, just after high school, and one of my we're at one of my friend's house, and his family cans food. I mean, my family cans food, but um, oh yeah, that's not the way up to my base now. His family cans food, and so in their basement, um, they had uh, they had oh no, you know what? I'm sorry. That's the wrong house. Same friend, different house. But so in his at his other house where he lived, um, because he had an elderly grandmother that he moved in with to take care of. And oop, I'm sorry, I didn't realize you weren't done yet. Sorry. Um, and so he had moved in. He had moved in there. They also canned there, and so we were sitting there one day, and um, they were eating stuff for lunch. I don't know where we were going, but we were going someplace, and so he was finishing up lunch when we got there, and um, they one of the people who was there asked him if he would like some of the peaches they had opened for lunch that they had canned, and he said sure, and so we're sitting around talking, and they bring him just a bowl with a few peaches in it, slices of peaches, and so he eats it, and uh, and then he's sitting there, and all of a sudden the person who brought him the peaches comes around and goes, "Oh no, oh no, oh no! Did you eat those peaches? You didn't eat those peaches, did you? Did you eat those peaches?" And he's like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Oh no, oh no, no! The lid was rusted through, and I didn't realize it." And so, man, we forever had a joke about rusty canned peaches. He didn't get sick or anything. Um, it was just, oh, we joked so much about him eating rusty canned peaches. Uh, you know how it is. uh, we go someplace and get to like dessert and like, oh, what are you gonna have for dessert? Oh, we know you're gonna have some rusty canned peaches. Uh, oh, good. So I totally put that one. Oh no, no, that was the right spot. That was the right spot. Man, I really don't know how far out you can go before it falls down on you. Oh, and then I ran out. Okay, well, I'll make some more of those. But, yeah, that was funny. Rusty canned peaches. What was even better is not even thinking about it. They got a dog that they named Rusty, and that always cracked me up. Um, I would call the dog Rusty Can of Peaches um, from time to time. That's not why he's named that. Doesn't matter why he's named it. It reminds me of it, and it's funny. So he is Rusty Can of Peaches, the dog. Uh, okay, right, I'm making frames. I'm just going to make a bunch of them. I'll go chop down another tree for wood here. It'll be fine. Yep. Man, that was a long time ago. That was same guy. Same guy one day. We were sitting there and we were waiting on him. We were always waiting on him. He would do things like we'd make a plan to go see a movie, which, when you live in the middle of nowhere, can be an ordeal. And so we would make plans to go see a movie. So this is, of course, you had the internet, which you didn't have when I was younger, but you know, at that time, cell phones were becoming a thing, and you could look stuff like that up online pretty easily. And so we'd look up what the movie we wanted to see and where it was playing, and that could mean anywhere between a 45-minute to an hour and a half drive one way to see said movie. And so they also, every time we went, would have to go to the restaurant and eat, which is fine. But it didn't matter what time of the day it was. We would always head straight to the restaurant, eat, and then go to the movies. They were big on eating. And one, two. Oh yeah, this would be my third spot here. I need 3 rows, right? So that's a row. That's a wall. This is a row. That's a wall. This is a row. Yep. Okay, so we're good. We're good. Once I get this spot here placed, I almost started to fill that in like it was a wall. And so we knew what time we had to leave, and like he's the one that picked the restaurant, the movie, what time we had to be there. And I remember this one time we get to his house, and he decides at that exact moment that we all get there that he needs to wash and wax his car. And we're like, no, we're supposed to leave in an hour. And he's like, oh, we'll be done. We'll be done. I'm like, I'm not helping you wash your car. And I just, you expect me to come over to your house to wash your car for you? No, that's not happening. And so he starts washing his car, and then whatever wax he bought, I remember it had to sit on the car for like 30 minutes or something, and so we're like, are you kidding me? We're supposed to be going to this film, and now we gotta wait. What did I do? I did something weird here. This whole thing has got to come up a whole nother level from where it's at. Weird. I don't know what I was thinking. I was trying to make sure it was down a low enough level. I mean, because the dirt's going to sit on top of this. So yeah, this totally doesn't work. And and so we actually wound up having to go to a different movie because it took him like 2.5 hours to wash his car. Especially when we had to sit around and wait for the wax to dry before. And on top of that, it rained after he put the wax on it to dry, which is great. And so then it just basically spots his car. Like, yeah, that's what you get, man. You told us we had to leave at 2. Here we are at 4:30. We haven't left yet. He's that guy where you make a trip, and he plans the trip. He has to be in charge of everything. We're not. Well, I do, but it's bizarre. So like, you get those people who throw fits if they don't get their way, right? Like they're okay most of the time, but then they make a decision, and if you don't agree with their decision, then they're like mad about it. And so there's a bunch of them that would go up to these. I don't know why I got off on this story, but I mean, I know what story I was going to tell, and none of these are the story I was originally going to tell. The story I was originally going to tell is really short. One time, while sitting there in his living room, the news came on, and they were on the Weather Channel. I guess it wasn't the news. They were on the Weather Channel to see what the weather was going to be for the weekend, because we were going camping, we called it. It wasn't camping. We went to the cabin that was in an area with cabins, and it had electricity and indoor plumbing and stuff. So we really just went to watch movies and play video games and eat pizza, basically. And it was close enough to town that you could have pizza delivered. And so, but we're sitting there, and the weather comes on, and they're like coast to coast weather. And so they're like, in Washington, D.C., it's blah, blah, blah temperature. And then it gives a few more temperatures, and then it goes, and in Washington, it's blah, blah, blah. And he's like, man, news is so stupid. And we're like, oh, yeah, why? He's like, because they just gave 2 different temperatures for the same place. And we're like, oh, yeah, what was that? Well, they said in Washington it was this, and then they turned around and said in Washington it was something else. And we're like, yeah, they said Washington, D.C. was one thing, and Washington was something else. And he's like, yeah, exactly. That's dumb. And we're like, well, those are 2 different places. And he's like, no, Washington is Washington. And we're like, no, one's Washington, D.C., which is on the East Coast, and the other one is Washington State, which is on the West Coast. He's like, no, they're the same place. No, they're not. Dude, you're like in your mid-20s. You don't know that Washington State and Washington, D.C. aren't the same place. I mean, I guess that's fine. I'm not good with geography either, but that's just a really hilarious story, I thought. But anyways, he's the kind of guy who likes to make the decisions, and so they would go up to the cabin, and I hadn't been invited to go to the cabin before, which because there's everybody's got their various groups of friends that don't interact, and sometimes there's overlaps, and so I was an overlap person. I was the guy they played cards with, but they also uh, hung out together. Like I go to the movies and stuff, but they also hung out and did other things that I didn't necessarily get involved with. And nothing illegal or anything, just like they like to go shoot guns a lot. And I mean, I've shot guns a lot, just it's not my idea of useful pastime. And so uh, or they'd like just go hang out at each other's houses for. I've never been one of those people. I'd rather be home if we're not doing something. I don't need to sit at your house with nothing to do. And because I guess I always have something to do, and it's always been that way. And so, anyways, they invited me out to go to the cabin with them. I'm like, oh yeah, sure, that sounds fun, and because I knew like well, I didn't know anything about it, and then they told me it was yeah, we just basically get a bunch of food at the grocery store um, and then stay at the cabin for the rest of the weekend. Maybe go golfing. That's a thing I didn't do that they all did together. I still don't golf, and so so we get to the grocery store and they get a cart and they take things to the guy whose cabin we were going to, and then he would tell them if they could put it in the cart or not. Now we're in like our early 20s at this point, and I'm like, what's going on here? And they're like, oh well, he decides what we can get for food for the weekend. Uh, and I'm like, what? Like, yeah, he if he doesn't get to choose what we buy, then he gets mad. And I'm like, so he's like a cart Nazi. And that was our joke for anybody that was really strict. We call him a Nazi, which has nothing to do with Nazis really, but I don't know. That was our joke. And so I'm like, okay. So he decides what goes in that cart. Yeah. I'm like, okay. And so I turned around and walked back to the front of the grocery store and got a second cart and started putting the things I wanted into it. And they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, well, he can decide what goes in his cart, but if I'm paying for stuff, I'm getting what I want. I don't care if he wants it or not. And he totally, like, that was the first time I ever went up there, and I've probably been up to those cabins 40 times at this point. And he maybe went in shopping 3 more times after I started taking a second cart. And once it got to the point where he didn't get to decide what went in the grocery cart, he stopped coming in. But yeah. But he's that guy that you show up at his house and he's made all the decisions about what's going to happen, and then he hasn't even started to get ready when you show up at the time he said we were supposed to be leaving. Oh, I can't believe how much wood this is taking. Well, I got pretty much where I expected to be. I've got to finish this off a little bit here. But this is going to get my garden growing. I've still got to put in a spot for trees. Not that I guess I necessarily need a spot for trees since there's so many trees around here, but I do kind of like having that couple of trees at your base just in case I quickly need some more fuel or whatever. So probably need to build another spot for trees in here somewhere. I also need to get some torches going so my place can be lit up at night. I'm not wandering around in the dark. Because I haven't done that yet either. But with that, click like if you like, subscribe, share, and catch the next one. And I will talk to you later.